Hello there, Sally. You do have a gift ready for next week's memorial service, don't you? I hope you don't think you can forget about your responsibilities just because it's only going to be family and close friends.
Oh, hi, Debbie. Yep, I'm as ready for the service as I could be.
Oh, you are? I hadn't heard from you, so I assumed you must have forgotten all about it. You seem very busy with work. You haven't even been cooking for my son recently.
I've had a lot of overtime over the last few days.
I don't want to hear your excuses. How lucky that I happened to pay him a visit with some of my award-winning winter stew. He would probably have starved if not for me. Do you think it's acceptable to let your husband starve, dear?
He'd only just eaten a few hours ago. I'm not sure there was any danger of him starving. Besides, he's more capable of cooking on his own meals.
Good grief, the things you say are beyond ridiculous sometimes. Cooking and housework are a woman's duty. I'll never acknowledge you as my son's wife until you start doing your job properly. How are you supposed to learn anything when you're cooped up in that godforsaken office all the time? Women's liberation was a mistake.
I'm sorry.
I made this crystal clear to you when you two got married, Sally. That you're to be there to support my son.
Yes, I know that, but we both work long hours. It's more like we support each other.
Didn't I tell you I don't want to hear your excuses? You haven't even produced any children yet, and this is how you speak to me. You couldn't be doing a worse job of fulfilling your duties to my son and this family if you tried. You're already in your 30s for crying out loud. Can't you hear the clock ticking, dear? Tick-tock, tick-tock. It's the sound of your eggs drying up. You do intend on providing me with grandchildren, don't you?
Yeah, of course we want kids, but we can't go blindly rushing into a decision like that. The timing has to be right.
Why do you say it like you're waiting for it to magically happen on its own? You make the timing yourselves. Good grief, this is why you're no good. All it is with you is excuses, excuses, and more excuses.
Right. I'm sorry, Debbie.
You think apologizing gets you off the hook? It's always the same with you. You ignore everything I say and think I'll forget all about it just because you apologize.
It's really not like that. It's just that my job is important to me.
Work? Important to a woman? Now I've heard it all. Oh, why don't you leave the boys' business to the boys and start doing your real job? If you had an ounce of respect for me or this family, you would have had a bun in the oven within a few months of marrying my son. When I was your age, my Darius was already in kindergarten, you know. You need to watch yourself, girl. The clock's always ticking. If you're not careful, the ship will leave the port without you on it because you're so damn focused on that silly job of yours. Tick-tock, Sally.
Thanks for the heads up, Debbie. I'll bear that in mind.
If only your abilities as a wife were as impressive as your replies. Not that I ever expected much of you to begin with, but this is my son's life we're talking about here, and I will not have it ruined by a second-rate floozy like you.
Hey, Debbie. It was nice to see you at the memorial today. Thanks for all the food. It was really kind of you to make that lasagna, and the meat pie was amazing. You've got some serious cooking skills.
That's because, unlike you, I put a lot of time and effort into excelling in the womanly crafts. Don't get the wrong idea, girl. I did not make any of that food for you. You only got anything because you hung on like an underfed child after the service ended, so I had no choice but to bring it out with you still around. It was only supposed to be for my son and the rest of my family. My real family, that is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea.
Why didn't you go straight home when the service ended? I don't remember inviting you to the buffet.
I was about to leave when your husband called me over. He said I should stay because you were just about to start bringing out the food.
What? My Peter said that. Good grief. Whatever will I do with that man? He knows how deeply I detest you. Are you sure you didn't mishear him?
I really don't think I did.
Are you sure he wasn't just saying it to be polite because there were other people around? Yes, that'll be what it was. You weren't supposed to oblige him, dimwit.
Sorry.
That food was supposed to be for my family. In fact, my family should have been the only ones at the memorial in the first place. I only agreed to let you help me with the preparations because you offered. You weren't supposed to actually turn up to the damn thing. What's it going to take for you to learn your place? I'm losing all hope.
From the way you're talking about me, I get the impression you don't think of me as your own family.
Obviously, dimwit. Are we related? No, we're complete strangers.
I'm sure you do think of me as a stranger, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win your approval and have you acknowledge me as part of this family. I'm serious about Darius, and I want to prove that to you, no matter how long it takes.
You become a part of this family. You couldn't win my approval in 10 lifetimes at the rate you're going, Missy. You'll have to stop with these jokes now, dear. My bowels have been loose lately, and an emergency of that kind is the last thing I need.
Still, I'm gonna do my best.
Like I just told you, it ain't gonna happen. Why bother wasting your energy? You don't have what it takes to win my approval. Rather than that, just focus on doing your job as my son's wife.
You mean, have kids?
What a relief! You do have something resembling a brain in that skull of yours. Yes, giving me grandchildren is the least you could do. If you don't, me and you will be strangers for as long as you live. Naturally, failing to produce children would also mean divorce.
What? Divorce?
Yes, dear, divorce. If you can't do your job as his wife, I'll have him divorce you and marry someone who can. The earlier he gets rid of you, the better. He'll have a wider selection of partners to choose from that way.
But I don't want a divorce.
What you want is of no importance. I'll see to it that my boy has a long, hard think about your future together if you continue to defy me any longer. What good are you if you refuse to produce children? What's the point in being married to a barren wasteland? Men can have kids at any age. As for you, tick-tock, Missy. If you won't deliver the goods, I'll have him exchange you for a younger model who will.
Debbie, we're going through infertility treatment.
What did you just say? Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, goodness gracious me. I knew it. You're defective goods.
Me and Darius are doing our best in our own way. Please, would you stop saying things like that? Things are difficult enough as it is without you being cruel on top of it.
Is the defective article talking back to me? Back in the good old days, women like you were handed a set of divorce papers and cast aside like the dead weight they were. There's nothing else for it. I was willing to give you a chance before, but now, it's no good. You have to separate.
Even if the treatment fails and we can't ever have kids, I have no intention of leaving Darius.
What you want is of no importance to me, young lady. If you can't fulfill your duties as his wife, there's no point in you being married. I must tell my husband about this at once.
Debbie, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'd really appreciate if you could try to be a little more understanding of our situation. Can't we compromise somehow? To be honest, I was dreading telling you, but I didn't want you to think we were trying. Please.
Let's see. I need to hear what my son thinks about this. Alright, fine. Let's all get together for an honest, frank discussion about your future.
Really?
Yes, I'm prepared to accept I've been a little inconsiderate, but I mean it when I say I want grandkids, and that's never going to change. Darius is my only son after all. Surely it's only natural I'd have expectations of you.
I get that.
Make no mistake, this only means I'll hear out what you both have to say. Don't mistake my kindness for approval.
That's enough for me. Thank you.
Don't think this means divorce is off the table either. I'm still prepared to do what needs to be done if you give me nothing but excuses. My son has wants and needs of his own. Alright, it's settled. Let's all discuss it over dinner the day after tomorrow. There's a restaurant I've been dying to go to lately.
You want to do this in public at a restaurant? Are you sure?
If I have to listen to a depressing sob story about how my son's wife's womb is a barren wasteland, I at least want to enjoy some delicious food to soften the unpleasantness of it all. Surely you'd feel better about the whole thing if you could enjoy some good food while we talked.
I guess. Okay, the day after tomorrow, right? I'll get ready.
Yes, I'll be picking you up in the car. I'll come to your house first, and then we can pick Darius up outside the station after he gets off work. I take it you do plan on leaving the office on time.
Yeah, I've been finishing early every day of this week, so there shouldn't be any problems on that front. Thanks for going to the trouble of picking me up. I appreciate it.
My husband said the car needed washing, so I can stop by at the car wash before I get you. 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll see you the day after tomorrow.
Hey, Debbie. Are you there? You told me yesterday we'd all be coming to today's dinner. I've been waiting ages for you to come and get me now. Is everything okay?
Do forgive me, Sally. I decided last minute we should have dinner with just me, Peter, and Darius instead. You know, my family. My real family. I told Peter not to bother stopping by at your house.
What?
You can watch the house on your own instead. The restaurant we're heading to is a little on the expensive side. Such luxury would be wasted on the likes of you. I know I said you could come, but the more I thought about it, the more ridiculous it seemed. Think about it. How can I possibly justify wasting money on food that good on the likes of you?
Was this your plan all along? Were you lying when you said we were gonna discuss our treatment too?
Me? A lie? Scandalous. I've never told a lie in my life. At the time, I was genuinely considering hearing you out, but then I realized the futility of it all. Come on, dear. What could possibly be gained by hearing some defective article give me her sob story on how she can't provide me with grandchildren? Exactly nothing. So, why have you spoiled the atmosphere while we eat? You can stay home.
I'm pretty sure Darius is gonna get up and leave the moment you tell him I'm not coming.
Don't talk nonsense, dear. We already picked him up at the station. He didn't have any complaints when I told him you wouldn't be coming. It would appear he's more receptive towards my remarriage idea than you would have liked to believe.
Huh? No way. That can't be.
Why didn't he object when I told him you weren't coming then? He just nodded his head, and that was the end of it. He's probably just as sick of you as I am. And why wouldn't he be? Do you know how embarrassing it is for a man for his woman to need fertility treatment? You hear stories about it all the time.
Darius thinks of me more than anyone.
Wake up and smell the coffee, Sally. He clearly doesn't anymore. Guess what? I already found several candidates for his replacement wife. He seemed opposed to the idea at first, but he soon changed his tune when I showed him the pictures of his new potential brides. Looks like you're getting tossed to the wayside, Missy.
No way. My husband would never abandon me.
What value does a woman in her 30s have to anyone? What's more, you're damaged goods. You can't even have kids. Stop burying your head in the sand and face reality. Don't think anyone in this family actually likes you just because my son and husband pretended to be nice to you all this time.
You really hate my guts, huh, Debbie?
Obviously, dimwit. You don't have a single redeeming quality. Your face is mediocre, your personality's rotten, you're unfeminine, you couldn't be any plainer if you tried. You're just some sad, futureless, worn-out old hag. You let my son do the housework while slaving away at that damn company you're so obsessed with. And to top it all off, you're incapable of having children. You don't deserve to call yourself a woman. What value is there in you even being alive?
I can't take this anymore. You've made it crystal clear about how you feel about me.
I'm pleased we have an understanding. I suggest you get started on packing up your things sooner rather than later. I'll be in touch when we decide on a replacement wife for my son.
Do as you please.
Don't worry, dear, I shall. It's such a shame to have to tell you this, but your happily married life is hereby over. Hurry up and tell Mommy and Daddy you'll be coming home. Me and my family are breaking all ties with you. Sally, dear, it turns out we were able to reach a conclusion on your future while we were still in the car. Even I didn't expect things to move along this quickly. Both Darius and Peter told me I can do whatever I want.
I see. And you felt the need to go out of your way to tell me that?
Who do you think you're speaking to, young lady? Start showing some manners. I'm still your mother-in-law for the time being.
I don't have any obligation to be nice to you, Debbie.
Whatever, I could care less. If impotently seething like this makes you feel better, who am I to stop you? You'll be nothing but a distant memory before long. This luxury dinner for just the three of us is going to be amazing.
You wouldn't happen to be on your own right now, would you, Debbie?
Well, yes, I am. Why? The restaurant doesn't have a car park, so Peter dropped me off outside while him and Darius go off and look for a space. They'll be back anytime now.
Have you been waiting for a while already?
It's only been 15 minutes. The roads are busy around this part of town at this hour. Don't worry, they'll be back any minute now. Anyway, what does any of this have to do with you? You're the only one on your own here.
Oh, I'm not on my own. Your husband and son are here with me right now.
What? They're with you, but why would they? What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense.
I got a message from Darius, inviting me out for a meal, just after your last message earlier. Let's go out for a meal as a family, babe. Just me, you, and my dad. I'm in the car with them both right now. We're on our way to another restaurant.
Excuse me? No way. No way! You're obviously lying because you're bitter about being abandoned. They just dropped me off outside the restaurant. Why would they possibly ditch me to eat with the likes of you? There really isn't a car park here. It's not like my husband was lying. They just went to find a parking space.
Don't worry. They found a parking space because they drove straight home. They told me all about how you wouldn't shut up about Darius divorcing me and remarrying a more suitable candidate, or making fun of me because of the infertility treatment. Well, Darius's patience finally reached its limit. He's so sick and tired of you, he never wants to see you again for the rest of his life. Your son just disowned you, Debbie.
No way. My darling boy would never do that. Besides, he never said anything in the car. If his patience had really reached its limits, as you claim, he would have spoken out.
Oh, he knows you're so arrogant and so self-absorbed that speaking to you is pointless. He's done with you. He said you may as well forget about him because he's not your son anymore.
Oh, no, you don't, young lady. Stop right there. I can see what you're doing. You're trying to scare me because I wouldn't tolerate the fact that you had the nerve to be infertile. Aren't you? Well, it won't work. As if my own family would ditch me outside a restaurant and leave me to eat on my own.
I can assure you most definitely will be eating on our own.
They have been gone a while. Wait, are you serious? Did they actually abandon me? That's so horrible. How could they do this?
Isn't it obvious? You treated me like I wasn't even human. Did you really think my husband was gonna tolerate you speaking about his wife like that? You had no right to treat me the way you did, and now you're paying the price.
Sally, where are you right now, sweetie? Won't the three of you at least come back to get me? It's getting cold out here.
Sorry, we're going out for a family dinner, which means you're not invited. You'll have to make your own way home.
Oh my God. Don't say things like that. Please, will you tell my son to get his dad to answer the phone? I must have tried calling him 10 times by now. Darius won't pick up either. Are their phones broken?
Nope. Their phones are fine. They just don't want to speak to you.
Fine, you win. Have it your way. I'll hear out what you have to say. Let's all sit down and have a chat like we originally intended. Just me, you, and Darius. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Please, just come back and get me. I don't know the bus routes around here.
No. You can take your chat and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. I couldn't care less whether I get your approval anymore. In fact, I'd prefer if you kept it yourself, along with your hateful, malicious comments and outdated opinions.
You don't want my approval. Do you really think we could go on like this, Sally? Get real. You're my son's wife.
I did my best to try and compromise with you, to try and prove how hard I wanted to win your acceptance as a member of this family. I couldn't do anything about the fact I worked long hours and I wasn't willing to quit my job. But beyond that, I did everything I could. I kept on top of the housework on my own to the best of my ability. And even while I was working, I went out of my way to make sure Darius had quality, home-cooked food on the table whenever he got back from work. I went out of my way to make it to family events and gatherings, even booking time off work despite my schedule being hectic. But eventually, I realized no matter how hard I worked, I'd never win your approval. And I've kept pushing myself past my limits. Like that, I only end up in an early grave.
That's simply not true. I was willing to accept you, dear. I really was. But you had to prove your dedication to my son and this family by giving us children first.
You see, Debbie, the problem with that is, I think your outdated way of thinking is disgusting. There was a time when I hoped we could get to know each other and build something resembling a positive relationship one day. But I realized that going out of my way to try and win the approval of someone as toxic as you could never end well. You're the vilest, most black-hearted person I've ever met.
vile and black-hearted? And what does calling me such awful things make you? Take a look in the mirror, bitch. This is no way to speak to your mother-in-law. You disrespectful little cretin.
I don't think of you as my mother-in-law. My only in-law is Peter, because unlike you, he's actually a decent human being.
Sally, please. I forgot to bring my purse. I'm already sat down in the restaurant. I had to come inside because it was getting so darn cold outside. I ordered some drinks and I'm feeling a little tipsy. I can't pay the bill without my purse.
Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. You seem to be making a tragic misunderstanding. You seem to think that's my problem when it's not.
Oh, come on, don't be like that. Just because me and you might not be on the best of terms doesn't mean you have to let me get in trouble. What am I supposed to do? Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is going to be for me? It's bad enough already after no one showed up despite me telling the waiter there'd be 3 of us.
Not my problem. Me and you are strangers, and what you do or what happens to you when the restaurant finds out you're stealing their alcohol has nothing to do with me.
Sally, please, listen to me. I'm sorry. Look, I just apologized, so please, I'm begging you. Won't you all come back and get me? Let's have dinner together.
Nope. We'll be eating as a family tonight, which means you're not invited. You're the one who tried to kick me out of your lives, remember? You're on your own now. Fix your own mess. Good luck finding a new family, 'cause this one's done with you. After that, me, Darius, and Peter all went to a fancy restaurant downtown together, where we had the most amazing steaks. No one had any desire to rescue Debbie from the mess she'd gotten herself into. In fact, we all find it kind of amusing. But since all she ordered was a few drinks, they gave her the benefit of the doubt and agreed to let her go home and come back with the money. She went back and paid the next day, and that was the end of that. However, she didn't have the money for a bus or a taxi. She had to walk back the whole 5 miles to her house at night in the middle of winter. Now that's what I call karma. Debbie was furious at her husband for not going out to pick her up. But when she started telling him off, he suddenly lost it with her and yelled at her so loud it said the screams of rage could be heard all the way from Jupiter. I guess we all have our limits. She soon zipped it when she realized Peter had reached his. He swore he'd divorce her if she tried to pull any of her old crap on him again, and something tells me he knew he meant it. I think we'll be seeing a much quieter, more reserved Debbie from here on out. After she started behaving herself, we decided to tell her the real reason we were going through infertility treatment was in fact because of Darius, not me. Mouth agape, all the color drained from her face before. She immediately got down on her knees and apologized profusely. But there are some things you don't forgive or forget. I'll definitely never forget what she put me through. That said, she did seem genuinely remorseful. She is still Darius's mother, so we agreed not to completely break things off with her. We haven't decided how often we'll see her yet, but we're thinking maybe once a year. 3 months after the events of today's drama, and after finally placing some distance between ourselves and the mother-in-law from hell, I finally fell pregnant. Darius and Peter were over the moon, and we held a family gathering at our place, just the 3 of us. Obviously, Debbie wasn't invited. There was a tiny part of me that felt sorry for her. But when I reminded myself why we were keeping our distance in her in the first place, and considered the strong likelihood of her sticking her nose into how we bring up the baby if we allowed her to worm her back way into our lives, that sympathy soon disappeared. She might be on her best behavior right now, but that still doesn't mean I trust her. I'm not risking through anything like that again, which is why me and my husband plan on maintaining a healthy distance from her going forward. I have nothing but love and gratitude for Darius and Peter, for being there to support me throughout this whole thing. and I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure they always know how much I appreciate them. Let's all spread the love, folks!
Thank you for watching! Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.